Today, I'm going to be revealing my favorite 5 altcoin portfolio in crypto. You don't need to hold dozens of altcoins to be successful in this market. In fact, oftentimes less is more. And today, I'm going to discuss the exact altcoins that I believe are must-holds for this crypto cycle, which could offer nice gains across the board. So we'll be going through these altcoins one by one today, from my favorite layer 1, Memecoin, RWA coin, AI coin, and I also have a special section at the end of the video, which is a new category of crypto coins that I'm focused on that I don't see many people talking about. Before we get into the exact altcoins, let's just lay out the strategy here. I believe crypto is an attention economy. We know that in crypto, attention drives price. So for that reason, when I think about structuring the optimal portfolio, I like to think of the market in terms of narratives. These are sectors underlying driving trends that I think are going to be popular in the market, especially when retail comes back to the market. So the entire purpose of today's portfolio is creating a basket of assets that are primed to receive attention when market participants come back, as they inevitably will when price action improves. So I don't think you need to hold 10 altcoins from each sector. All you need to do is pick a few sectors in the market that you're bullish on. I'll show you the ones that I'm bullish on now, and hold 2 to 3 altcoins within each sector, because that's going to give you enough exposure to the sector without jeopardizing the performance of your portfolio via over-diversification. This way, you can spread your bets across 2 to 3 altcoins and essentially get exposure to the narrative without having to take on a crazy amount of risk. So the sectors that I believe are going to power the bull run is the layer 1 sector. I still believe blockchain infrastructure is something that people love to speculate on, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I've got a top L1 pick that I want to share with you and some honorable mentions. I believe Memecoins will continue to drive the market. So I've got 2 Memecoin picks and a Memecoin honorable mention. I've got an RWA coin that I think could perform really strongly, and RWA is a narrative that I think will also have its fair share of the limelight. So I've included it in this list for that reason. And then finally, I've got the AI sector, which I do believe is going to be a very popular sector for years to come in crypto, actually, but specifically this bull run, as there's a lot of hype about the potential for crypto and AI to converge. And even that aside, there's just a lot of hype in the AI realm in general. I mean, it's catching a huge bid on the TradFi side in the equities markets. So I definitely want some exposure in my crypto portfolio as well. But it is a 5 altcoin portfolio. It's not a 15 or a 20 altcoin portfolio. So for that reason, the structure of this video is as follows. I'm going to give you my top pick from each sector. Basically, if you told me, look, Miles, you had to put all of your money in one coin from each sector, what one would you pick? I'll give you those 5 tokens. And then I'm also going to give you some honorable mentions, because as I mentioned at the start of the video, a more realistic portfolio might have 2 to 3 coins per sector. You might only pick one that you're really bullish on and just concentrate and make it a concentrated bet for the cycle. But you might also want to diversify, and that's why I'll give you a few additional options in today's video. Realistically, I could pick 5 L1s, 5 AI coins, 10 meme coins, and they might all be good selections come cycle's end. But the purpose of today's video is to give you something a bit more consolidated. And I do believe in this market, having that narrative first approach works well, because basically what you can do is you can deep dive into sectors, come up with a thesis for a specific sector, and then basically work out which altcoins within that sector you want to hold. And as I said, there's probably 5 altcoins or 10 altcoins that are valid per sector, but you do have to narrow it down at the end of the day when it comes to creating a portfolio that can outperform the market. I've spoken about this a lot in the past, that if you hold too many altcoins, essentially what you're doing is you're creating an altcoin index. You're kind of defeating the entire purpose of investing in alts, which is to outperform the market and more broadly, outperform Bitcoin. So without further ado, let's get into the list. I'm going to start with some of the bigger coins, and then at the end, we'll talk about some of the lower caps. I've also got a special section here once we're done with the primary 4 narratives that I do believe could have some pretty nice upside that I don't see many people talking about. So that's going to be cool as well. So let's firstly start with the layer ones. Layer ones are the building blocks of your portfolio. Layer ones are basically blockchain infrastructure to facilitate the creation and the usage of decentralized applications. For me, my top layer one in terms of a coin that I think is going to continue to lead throughout the cycle and command mindshare is Solana. Kind of a boring / no-brainer selection, but when you are building a 5 altcoin portfolio, like in today's video, you do need something to steady the ship, and you want a tried and tested coin that is likely going to perform this cycle. And for me, Solana fits that bill as the premier L1 of this cycle in terms of mindshare. It is a strong trade, although it has faced some headwinds recently, which I think are good because they give us an opportunity to get in at lower prices. I'll show you the chart for each of these coins, but Solana specifically in just a second. And I do believe that out of Solana and ETH, Sol probably has the slightly higher upside, at least what we've seen thus far from ETH's performance post-ETH ETF launch. Hasn't exactly filled me nor the market with much confidence on the ETH trade versus Solana. So for that reason, Solana is probably my pick when it comes to the layer ones. Turning our attention to the technical side of things here, Sol is actually at what I would call like a must-defend level, which sits around $120. The next major support for Sol takes us all the way back to the initial breakout / breakdown points from 2021 and 2022, which is at $97. So you really want to see Sol bouncing here, and it's actually at a pretty key level for a bounce. So if you are buying here, you do have invalidation if you wish to set invalidation, or if you're buying for the cycle as kind of like a cycle hold. This isn't a bad zone to average in at. Just keeping in mind, we may come down and test that $97 level, and then you should be prepared to bid there again if you're serious about accumulating Sol and holding it for the cycle, which in my opinion is going to run into next year. That's definitely what the charts from both a macro and a crypto perspective are showing us. So Sol is my pick when it comes to the layer ones. Now I have an honorable mention, and by nature of the fact they're honorable mentions, these will be typically lower market cap coins that offer you alternatives for some slightly higher risk exposure to each of these sectors. And I've picked Phantom out of the list. It was difficult because there are a lot of L1s that I like. You know, you've got Sui, you've got a few other ones starting to emerge, lots of AI blockchains starting to emerge as well. But I do think Phantom has a compelling case given the fact that a lot of its dilution is already on the market. That's something you can't say for a lot of the newer so-called VC L1 coins. And because Phantom already commands that mindshare from last cycle, and it's going through a rebrand, which is set to direct more attention to the chain, I do think it is primed for upside, considering there's going to be an airdrop for Sonic. There's going to be attention on the ecosystem as people are farming the airdrop, as people are playing around with some of the new applications, potentially meme coins on chain. So there's enough to get excited about here to warrant Phantom having a place in your portfolio. I think didn't quite make, the must hold 5, but it is one that I hold and that I'm looking at accumulating. And like Solana, it has pivoted off the lows, and there is upside here if it can start to gain momentum and break past that 50-cent level. The traders out there will love Phantom because they'll just be waiting, sitting on their hands, and as soon as it starts to clear key levels and signal a confirmed reversal, you can get in on the confirmation long plays, which I think a lot of traders will prefer. But for the more investor-orientated market participants out there, you might just choose to take more of a DCA approach on major dips, build a position, and target upside of maybe $1, $2 plus towards the end of this cycle, maybe even higher. I'm probably being conservative there, but the market has taught me recently to be conservative and not be too crazy or outlandish with predictions. But of course, it could go a lot higher than that. And it does make my honorable mention spot as a lower market cap L1. And I think if you look at the market cap right now, what is it? It's 1.4 bill or 1.2 bill market cap, 1.4 FDV, which is pretty low compared to Sol, which is at 60. So when we talk about upside, I definitely think there is upside here. Now let's go into meme coins. Meme coins have led the cycle so far, and I am a believer in holding a decent chunk of my portfolio in meme coins, roughly 10 to 15%. Maybe that's aggressive for some of you. Hey, maybe some of you are 100% in meme coins in your full meme coin degens. If that's the case, good on you. You've probably had some crazy ups and downs already this cycle. But for the purpose of this portfolio, I've picked I've actually picked two meme coins that I think are the most solidified plays in the market that cover two micro meme coin sectors. And then I've also got an honorable mention, which is a slightly newer meme coin, which is a lower market cap, but is showing signs of potentially being the next iteration of the two that I'm going to speak about now. The first one is WIF. I think WIF is kind of like your higher risk beta play on the Solana ecosystem. Now, if we actually look at the chart, obviously it ran up crazily earlier at the start of the year to $5. I actually got in at around $1. I shared that trade at the time. We did really well trading WIF during that period. Unfortunately, since then, it has shown quite a bit of weakness. I guess from a technical perspective, the encouraging sign is that it is respecting this $1.40 level, but it is in a downtrend. So what I want to see from WIF is an uptrend. It'll look something like this. It'll start to reclaim these key levels and you can get in on the retest. So that is probably your clearest playbook when it comes to WIF, either that or bidding major capitulation wicks to the downside. I do recommend watching the video I put out on Friday. I'll link it in the description below because it goes through my execution strategy for all of these coins. So I don't want to bog down these videos by talking about trade execution too much. If you do lack in terms of execution, so that's buying, selling, setting in validations, and take profits, click the link in the description below after you watch this video, and you can learn all about how I would actually go about entering a trade like WIF or Sol or Phantom or any of the coins that I'll speak about today, because today's video is going to be more fundamental. And on the fundamental side of WIF, I mean, we know it is a market leader in terms of mind share. Yes, it's dropped in terms of market cap, but all meme coins have, but it still maintains a top 5 meme coin spot. And in terms of mind share, that's really important that it didn't just die off. When the market drops, meme coins go through a stress test. The ones that fail the stress test go back down to the bottom of the pile. And although they may have hit $1 billion market cap, they end up washing away and they lose all attention, they lose all mind share, and they lose all momentum, and they never come back. Some meme coins, however, during major market downturns, they might go down, but they maintain their place, their standing amongst the meme coin ecosystem. And WIF did do that. Alongside the next meme coin, which I want to discuss, which is PEPE. So I view WIF as a leverage bet on the Solana ecosystem. PEPE is kind of a leverage bet on the Ethereum ecosystem, but the unique thing about PEPE is that it kind of transcends crypto in a way. Like, the PEPE frog is such a notable, relevant meme in popular culture. So I think it translates really well into a meme coin. It's gone through a lot of adversity. I mean, I got in at 100 million, ran it all the way up to 6 billion, which is a 60x. It's been an absolutely crazy journey on PEPE, and a journey that I've shared publicly. But throughout that journey, we had the team having a fight and a contingent of the initial team dumping a bunch of tokens, and we had massive swings in price, massive pumps, massive dumps, periods where we thought PEPE was dead, but it rose from the ashes, and like WIF, despite having some downside at points, it solidified itself as a top meme. And it offers something unique versus WIF because it's a non-Solana meme coin. It's one of the biggest non-Solana meme coins alongside Doge, SHIB. You also got Flocky. And if the ETH ecosystem picks up on chain, which at some point this cycle it will, I do see that side of the casino coming back like it did earlier in the year, and PEPE will be a front runner of that. So WIF and PEPE are my two holds. Do I hold other meme coins? Yes. I'll talk about one other meme coin that I hold now that's slightly lower in terms of market cap, that has a chance to solidify itself, but it hasn't been stress tested yet like the other coins. So that's why it's in honorable mentions and it's not in my main portfolio, despite the fact that I do hold a lot of this meme coin, more so to try and capture that upside in the short to mid-term, because I think shorter term, it has more upside than WIF and PEPE, potentially for the cycle as well. It just, as I said, hasn't gone through the trials and tribulations, the full meme coin cycle yet. It hasn't really had that because it's new. But that meme coin is Sundog. So Sundog is the leading meme coin on Tron. Justin Sun's pushing Tron super hard. It has been the strongest meme rotation after the Solana meme coin season. I do think a lot of market participants have become slightly jaded with Solana memes. We've seen Pump.Fun volume dry off. The Sun Pump volume has been quite strong, and people are just looking for a new playground to play in, and they've found it with the Tron ecosystem. So this has been a great one that I publicly shared under, I think on the show it was like 180 million market cap. So since then, you already find the price sitting up 63%. So congrats to everyone that is in Sundog. I don't think it's done yet. I think the real expansionary phase on most alts doesn't really happen until a break of all-time high. We got the break of range high, which was step one. All-time high is at 330 million. If it can break that, then there is clear skies ahead potentially to $1 billion and beyond for Sundog, just like WIF ended up going to multi-billions, PEPE as well. So it's definitely one that's interesting. It's the leader on Tron, so if you want exposure to the Tron ecosystem, it's the logical bet. You also have some slightly riskier memes that didn't make this video, but I am invested in, like Mooncat, which is the top cat if you want the cat proxy play alongside Sundog, which is the main dog, just like you've had Popcat and Mog as alternatives to WIF, which is one of the main dogs. So you've got all these proxy plays as well. Mooncat's probably my favorite, but most of my capital is concentrated in Sundog because I do think that is the top one and it's the leader. And I shared this as well a day ago in my Discord, and I said, look, I think it's going to be a big week for Sundog at 24 cents. We've already seen the price rally 18% today to 30 cents. So that was a good trade just based on technicals and my gut feel and some of the stuff I was seeing on chain. I thought that would be a good trade, and that's already panning out, similar to how we called the Mooncat trade a couple of weeks ago, and I called it at a $13 million market cap, and it ran all the way to 40 million. It's now sitting around 20 million. So still up on these entries, but obviously had a massive profit-taking opportunity with that 3.5x, which was in the Discord. So I'll continue to share these plays in the Discord and all my updates with these meme coins in that community. And if you do want to join the community, there are a few spots that are now open using the link in the description. You can sign up for the Mars High Club. You don't just get alpha like the Sundog and the Mooncat trade before the masses. You're also going to get a bunch of amazing analysis from the contributors in the group. We've got Doc on the high time frame charts. We've got Fabian on the small caps and the macro analysis. We have an airdrop expert. We have Paradise, who's degenning and trading all day on the lower time frames. And of course, myself, spitting alpha when I can, and also answering all your questions. So there's a lot going on in that group if you're not in it and you're serious about making it in crypto. I recommend checking it out using the link in the description below and being a part of the community. It's been absolutely amazing to see that community thrive, and it's honestly been one of the best parts about this year, even though there has been some boring times in the market and downside. Being a part of the Mars High Club has been probably one of my highlights for the year, and connecting with people on a deeper level that have watched these videos is super awesome. So yeah, that's the Memecoin Sundog with PEPE, the main ones as well. And there are many more memes, and there are more memes that I hold. But once again, like I said in the introduction of this video, the whole point here is to condense it down, and those are the three that I would pick. Moving on, we've got RWA. All RWA really needs to thrust back into the limelight again is a Larry Fink shill that could come at any point. It doesn't even really need that. All it needs is a subtle narrative starting to build off the back of maybe like a BlackRock fund or something speculative. Definitely could kick the RWA sector off. Even if it doesn't happen, RWA has kind of started to solidify itself in the mindshare of the crypto Twitter contingent. I don't think it's quite made its way fully to YouTube yet, although there are, some YouTubers that have started to pick it up, like myself, Crypto Banter, some other channels, House of Crypto, I've seen talking about it, but it's still not fully solidified. And the interesting thing about RWA is you've only really got like 4 options when it comes to exposure, which kind of makes it easy because when the market is picking a layer 1 to trade, you've got Solana, Aptos, Avalanche, Phantom, Sui, Say, Injective. Like there are so many layer 1s that liquidity, when it does pump into L1s, kind of disperses and diversifies across so many coins, which makes the pumps less intense. Whereas RWA, because there's only like really 2 or 3 leaders, all the money gets concentrated into a few coins. And I think if RWA has a run, this coin here, which is OM Mantra, will be the biggest beneficiary because I think it has the strongest narrative out of the RWA sector. Now, I do like Ondo. Fundamentally, it's strong. But the issue with Ondo is there are some major unlocks that are coming up soon. So I think that is just enough of a detractor when it comes to building out the RWA thesis, when it comes to comparing the potential price performance of Mantra versus Ondo. So because there are some doubts in people's minds due to these unlocks that are coming, that may be enough to limit or suppress price performance leading up to the unlocks. that gives Mantra the slight edge when it came to picking this portfolio. It was close, but that's why I went with OM. Also, the price action looks a lot better. I got it invalidated on one of my major Ondo trades at 90 cents. I spoke about it on my Discord. I also spoke about it on the show, the invalidation show that I did last Friday. OM has the slight advantage that it's still in an uptrend, and I'm actually still fully in my Mantra position, although I was forced to cut a large chunk of my Ondo position. So Mantra still looks good, especially if you do get a reclaim of 95 cents. This is a key level that the traders will be watching. You do have invalidation under that. It's kind of a wide stop gap of roughly 16%. So you might want to wait for consolidation above, maybe another wick down, which kind of gives you tighter invalidation, but really depends how you trade. You know, if you're a spot trader and more so an investor, you want to hold this for 6 to 12 months, you can kind of just buy on any major dips and chill. If you're more of a trader, you can follow some of the advice that I gave on Friday and go a bit more technical with it and have tighter invalidations. But OM is probably the top pick here due to the fact, as I mentioned, it doesn't really have that dilution that something like an Ondo has. 770 market cap versus 813 fully diluted. It's also a layer 1, so it's kind of got a cross-narrative pollination, which I like and I think is a good combination when it comes to altcoin price performance. Now let's move on to AI. AI is a sector that needs little introduction. As I mentioned before, I think it'll be one of the leading sectors, even though it has had a few months of downtrend, just like the rest of the altcoin market. If I do look at narratives that have potential to pump really fast when the market recovers, AI certainly makes the top of my list alongside Memecoins, I think. So my top pick for AI, this was pretty tricky because you have a few. You have Render, you have Nia, you have some of the newer ones like Aethia. I've landed on Tau for a few reasons. One, it's infrastructure and people love bidding L1s over dApps. Two, I really like the chart on Tau. It has shown responsiveness when the market has rallied versus other coins which have continued to just bleed out. Three, I like its mechanism. It's similar to Bitcoin. It has these halvings where every few years the supply halves, which is pretty cool because you don't have this crazy like VC unlock supply pressure coming on like a lot of the newer AI tokens. And it's established in terms of mindshare. It was the top AI coin for the beginning of the AI run. Then it's cooled off. And I think if the narrative comes back again, it'll pick up where it left off pretty much. So Tau is my top pick. It was hard to leave Nia out though. So that's why I put Nia in my honorable mentions list as my layer 1 AI play. I do think Nia has a strong case as a layer 1 AI data availability solution all in one. It's performed really well. It's been extremely price responsive when AI has run. I think it'll probably even be more responsive than Render. IONET and Aethia have broadened the landscape of decentralized compute, DePin, which I think gives Nia the advantage because it's a little bit more in a niche of its own. I think that bodes slightly better for price action, although I still like Render as a play. I like Aethia as a play, but I did pick Nia for the purpose of this video as my honorable mention alongside Tau. And the last one here before we get into the special combinations, which I'll discuss what that is in a minute, is another DePin play. It's not purely AI, but I think when you talk about AI, DePin is often lumped in. Like Render is a DePin protocol by heart. Of course, it can help facilitate AI applications, but it's DePin, Aethia's DePin. So I think a lot of the DePin AI plays are going to run together. And for that reason, I have included another honorable mention in this portfolio that I hold, and that is WMT. This is an interesting coin because I don't really think it's scratched the surface of its potential due to the fact that it has been on Cardano. The issue with Cardano is there just isn't an ecosystem there. There aren't users, so despite WMT having some of the strongest tech in the DePin space, it just hasn't had the eyeballs that it needs. It has real users, it's a working protocol, but it hasn't had the speculators. That contingent of users is also super important. Arguably the most important in terms of price action. The good news is though, it's soon launching on Base, and Coinbase has a lot of eyes. We've seen projects like Aero, Brett perform extremely strongly, and that's an ecosystem with more liquidity and hype than Cardano. So that could definitely trigger a changing of fortunes for the price action of WMT, despite fundamentally it being one of the strongest DePin projects out there. If you don't know what it does, it's basically democratizing access to the internet across the world in third world countries within Africa. It's really awesome. I'll deep dive in a later video into what the tech does, but what you need to know right now is it's an underrated coin in the DePin space that I am holding, and from a trader's perspective as well, if it can break out of this downtrend, that could signal a rapid expansionary phase. When it does happen, it might take some time, but I do think it will happen. So WMT makes my honorable mentions list. Now, for the special combinations, what do I mean by this? Because we've gone through the main sectors. Special combinations are altcoins which don't just combine one specific vertical like Memecoin or RWA or AI. They have a mixture of both. What's better than being from one hot narrative than being from two hot narratives or three hot narratives at once? Now, I do think there's a point where if you're doing too much, there's confusion and it maybe struggles to relate to a specific vertical and it therefore limits price action. But there are some coins that are very intricately and intelligently straddling the line between two narratives. So let's go through a few of them. We've already discussed a couple already. So Near Protocol, it's AI and it's an L1. Mantra, it's an L1, but it's also RWA. One that I think you should be looking at is Prime. It's gaming and AI. Gaming isn't in my list because gaming is one of the most painful narratives to hold because it just has not performed. And it hasn't filled me with much confidence that if the market does pick up, it'll be first to run. I do think at some point gaming will run though. But I like Prime as a bet because it's kind of hedging having that AI component. So it can run in a gaming run, but it also can run in an AI run. And it also can run on its own like it did in March. And yeah, I just think based on the chart, there is a lot of upside here. Like if it did get back to highs, you've got 328% on the table. I know Anthem's been calling for $100 Prime, which is crazy, but these are the kind of numbers we're talking. So I do like Prime. Looking at some coins that haven't launched yet, but are also being super intelligent in terms of how they combine multiple narratives. You've got CARV. This is one that I invested in. I'm super bullish on it fundamentally. It's the largest modular data layer for gaming and AI. So this is going to allow people to own their own data when it comes to gaming. It can be plugged into a variety of use cases across the gaming and AI space. So I think you're going to see a lot of partnerships, collaborations in the future with CARV. I think their token does launch soon. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So definitely keep this on your watch list. Another one that's on my watch list that also combines two narratives is Zero Gravity, which is the fastest modular AI chain. So it's AI, but it's also infrastructure, which is starting with a programmable data availability layer for AI dApps. In terms of AI infra, I still think this space is relatively limited. You've got some exciting projects coming like Allura, but Zero G Labs slots right in and I think will be one of the dominant players within that vertical. Once again, it's an upcoming token launch, so price action post-launch is going to dictate if you get entries, when you get entries, etc. So I'll update you at a later date on those, but I thought I would bring them to your attention. In terms of other combinations off the top of my head, like Memecoins and AI, you have PEPECOIN, not this Pepe, but the PEPECOIN, the OG PEPECOIN from 2016, I believe it was, which has a really interesting function with the based AI network, which is an AI decentralized LLM network. So that's really interesting because you have PEPECOIN being burnt as the network gains more usage, but you also have the speculative / meme coin element with it being the OG PEPECOIN. So that one is also one that combines multiple verticals, and there are more combinations, but I think for now, those are the ones that I'm looking at. So to summarize here, we've got a portfolio of Sol, with Pepe, Mantra, and Tau covering the layer 1 space, the Memecoin space, the RWA space, and the AI space. You've got honorable mentions, Phantom, Sundog, Near, WMT. And these are some of my favorite tokens in the market that I think have some of the best risk reward in the market. But of course, there are more, and we'll do more deep dives on individual sectors like L1s, AI, etc., where I can give you some more options. Because as I said, when you're considering a specific narrative, you're working with a lot of tokens, and it's your job to work out within each sector, what are your favorite tokens, and narrow it down. Hopefully this helps with guiding you with some of the tokens that I've narrowed them down to, but there are more, and truthfully, I do hold more than just 5 tokens, but it's a really fun video to make because it kind of forces you to be really stringent with your selection process and work out, okay, what do I actually favor and why? And yeah, for that reason, I really enjoyed making this video. There's a link in the description below to the Discord if you want to join. Been an amazing journey being in the Discord, and I've been sharing a lot of alpha in there. Even the Sundog trade was up 18% today, and there'll be many more where that came from. So if you do want to join, I'll leave a link in the description. We did open up a few spots. Come be a part of the community. I'll see you in the next video, which will be in a couple days. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you later. Peace out.